Hi everyone, it's Monday morning again. I got a couple of things to share with you today. It's August, and before too long there will be all of the holiday craft shows and things, and so I do some of those shows, and so I'm gearing up for those to get started on those, and so I thought I would share with you a couple of things that I have been doing. This is a wooden star. Let me get one that's not been done. Got stuck in the plastic. So it starts out like this, and this is a star that I've painted on many times, decorative painting, but I thought that I would do something a little different. And what I did was I took Tim Holtz Christmas paper from last year, I think it is, or maybe it was the year before, and I cut it out, 2 different pages, and I glued it to both sides, and then I glued some embellishments on. This used to be a set of earrings from way back in the 70s, I think, one that, you know, I just kind of hung on to. I don't know why I hung on to them, but I'm glad I did, because I just took my Tim Holtz scissors and cut the wires off and glued it on here with glossy accents. And I didn't have a 25 bingo marker, so I used 24 for Christmas Eve, and put some things on, and then I'll put some ribbon in that and then hang it as an ornament. And it can be embellished a little bit more, but that's what I've done so far. So that's a quick and easy ornament, and just starting out with this, and it's laser cut, so you really don't have to do anything to the edges when you put paper on. When I paint, I seal the wood, but when I glued paper on, I didn't have to do that, so it's very quick, very easy. And then this is another thing I was working on yesterday. I'm teaching a mixed media class at my art club in October, and so I took a plaque that I had bought, and I used 3 colors of paint to make it look like this mahogany stain. I used 3 transparent colors, a yellow, a red, and then a burnt orange color, and I layered them along with some glaze to get this stain look. And then I took, again, some paper from that same Tim Holtz seasonal release, and I distressed it, and I glued it on, rolled up the edges, and then I took the Thanksgiving stamps. This is the wheat and the acorns and some leaves, and stamped them in clear embossing powder. And then I took a new product that is out by Deco Art called Metallic Luster, and it's sort of a rub-on gold, kind of like the old little tubes. I can't remember what they're called now, but anyway, I used copper and iced espresso, and what I did was I embossed in clear embossing powder, and then I rubbed this gold onto the embossed areas, or this metallic luster, and then down here I used the copper, and then I also rubbed the copper here on the back edges of the paper as well. And I used a corner from Ideology, and I rubbed that copper on here as well. And I did that yesterday, and that's all nice and dry and not coming off on my hands or anything. And I'm going to set this on an easel. So this is what I'm teaching in October at my art club, our Indie Decorative Artists chapter of the Society of Decorative Painters. And this is a sneak preview for those of you who are watching this blog. And this is what we're going to do in October. Quick and easy. Mixed media. Got some paint on it and some other fun things. Okay, but what we're going to do today is some more paperwork. And I know that you've seen these large clothespins in different places and used as a memo holder. So I have several of them. Here's another one that I have, and let's see, I've got another one somewhere else. There's the other one I have. Now all these are painted that I've just shown you, but there's also another way to do these, and I saw this. I have to tell you that this is not my original idea. I saw this done, I think by maybe Cindy Man Vitale, maybe that might be who I saw it from. I need to do a little bit more research to give the originator proper credit for this, and I hope that Cindy's the one, but if not, then I apologize to the person who did come up with this idea, and if I can find it in time to post it, then I definitely will, because I want to give credit to the person who came up with this idea. So what I did is normally I would seal this wood, because you have to seal it, and I would seal it with my Traditions multi-surface sealer, because you have to seal it so that your paint or whatever you're going to do to it sits on top of the wood and not doesn't soak in, because when it soaks in it absorbs unevenly, and that's not a good look. But since I'm going to cover it with paper, then I didn't, and I also wanted to make sure that my glue would stick, so I don't want that sealer to stop it from adhering. But what I did do is I sealed these edges, the outside edges. I sealed the top edges there, and then I sealed in between these grooves. And what I did also is I took it apart before I started to work with it, because you just can't work with it correctly with the spring on it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use the paper from the French Industrial, and I'm always not really knowing what to do with the pages that are the little squares, because I know that they have a good use, but I don't use them very often, so I thought it might be cool to use them for this, to cover this. So what I'm going to do, first I'm going to use my T-square to measure, and I need just about, not quite 2 inches, I need about 1 inch and 7/8. And these squares are just about 2 inches. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these strips along the square guidelines. So let's do that first. And with one sheet of paper you could make quite a few of these. So I'm going to cut 4 of them, because I need to cover 4 sides. So there's 2. That moved on me, but I still got it pretty straight. And 1 more. So okay. I guess with a clothespin the size of the one I'm using, you're probably only going to get 1.5 out of 1 sheet of paper, but 2 sheets of paper and you get 2, so that's pretty good. So let's see, nope, I'm not done with that yet. So now I need to cut them down to 1 7/8. I could go ahead and just put them like this, and then go along the edge to trim it off. But I think it'd be easier if I do it this way. So I'm going to set this at the 1 7/8 line and slice that off. Now let's see. So, okay, so that's really a little bit short, because I've got some sides showing here, and I think I might go with that, because I can put, I am going to want to put some ink on the edges, so that would work. So let's go with that on that side, on that one. But on the next ones, let me correct it and let's see how things work. So I'm going to pull this over 1 more mark to, well, I think, okay, I see what I did. I set it at a mark of 1 3/4 instead of 1 7/8, and that's why I'm off. So let's do this one correctly and see how that works. It seems like you can't do a video without a mistake, doesn't it? That is perfect. Okay, so since I messed up this one, then I'm going to set that aside, and I'm going to cut another strip. If I can remember. Oh, it's right here. My goodness. Monday mornings. Okay, so let's cut another strip here on our line since I messed one up. And if I do have some smaller clothespins, so I could use this one, the one I messed up, on a smaller clothespin, and it would be okay. So now I'm going to cut that at the proper 1 7/8 mark. Okay, there is 2, and I need 2 more. And I'm liking the look of these little squares already. I think this was a good idea. Oops, that might be the one that I already had cut. Let's get the right one over here. There we go. Okay, there's my 4. Now I'm going to need to cut again, so I'm going to lay this on here. Remember, I sealed the grooves so I don't have to worry about getting paper in there. Just make it easy on yourself. I'm going to take a pencil and mark right there. And now I'll cut this. Okay, and then I'm going to come back with the rest of this edge, and I'm going to measure right here, and it's easier to just make my mark right like that. Cut this one down, so I have what I need for this side. I have what I need for here. Let's go and see if this other piece will fit here. It will, with just a little bit of a mark. So it looks like one strip is going to be good for almost one entire half of our clothespin. So we're getting a lot of mileage out of one strip. So let's get this last piece in. And you know, you could use your ruler to measure these, but I'm just doing it by sight because it doesn't have to be for a geometry professor, which is good. So, you know, I'm good with close enough. Okay, so we have our pieces for this piece, and let's go through the same procedure for the other side. Do that real quickly. Okay. Oh, gotta find my mark again. Okay, there's that piece. Let's see if this will fit. Oh, so close, but so far. Okay. So let's use this edge because I want that map to be on the outside. So let's flip it over so I make sure I get a very accurate measurement, and I have a flat spot for my mark. Okay, so we've got that side. Now we have to do this side. So let's get this measured off. Well, let's see. Okay. Let's do it this way. It's just a tiny piece that I need to cut off, but I do need to get it off there. Okay. I think I can do that one with my scissors. It's easier than trying to hold it still. Okay. And then we need this part. And I can get that one right here. Oh, yeah, that's one of the reasons I got that small one, because sometimes it shifts on me. I probably need a new blade. Okay, so now there's all our parts, and I still have 2 strips left over. So that's pretty good use of these papers that I always seem to be left over with. So I'm going to get this out of the way. And now let's glue our papers on. But before I do that, I want to work on my edges. So this is gray paper for the most part, gray and kind of a medium, a dirty white. So I'm going to choose a medium gray color, this will work, and a medium white also. So I'm going to put this out on my palette. Let's get the paper out of the way. And this is an almost empty bottle, so I'm going to take the lid off and just kind of pound it out. There we go. And I want to add just a little bit of gray to that, just to make that white a little dirtier. And I'll mix that with my palette knife. And that looks like we've got just about a good matching color. Maybe just a little more of the medium white. Pound a little more into that. I'm not measuring, I'm just doing this by sight. Yeah, that's better. And acrylic paint dries 10% darker than it is when it's wet. So I'm going to go back here one more time with this white. So I would say this is probably a ratio of about 4 or 5 of the medium white to 1 of the, it's a dark gray value. If I had used my medium gray value, then I wouldn't have had to work so hard. But I don't have one of those sitting up here with me, so that's what I'm coming up with. This is about a value 7 for the painters in my audience. So then I'm going to take a flat brush and a better flat brush, and I'm going to just paint that on my edges. I'm going to wet my brush, and I'm going to paint on the insides, these grooves. And it doesn't matter if you get out of there, because it's going to be covered, so you don't have to worry about being tidy. Just get it on there. I'm using Traditions paint because that's the only paint I use, and its coverage is phenomenal. And then I'm going to paint my edges. And with Traditions paint, I only need 1 coat. Make sure I don't get my hands in the wet paint. Okay, so there's the side, and I'm going to come and do this edge as well. And I'm going to do the other edge. Find a handhold here to where I can paint and not get it on my hands, but yet you can still see what I'm doing. It's important that all of your edges have a finish on them. You don't want it to leave any raw wood exposed. And then I'm going to come up here on the top, because it's a little too hard to get paper on these edges, on these parts right here. But also, if you intend to use this, then this is where the contact is, and so it'd be better to have a hard coat of paint there than paper that can get torn up and roughed up with use. Okay, so there's that one. Got everything covered in the paint that we need to. Oops, almost. We need to get down into this area as well. The spring will be there, but I still like, a completely finished look. So I've got to do this one quickly. And I'm putting my hands there and smudging. Okay, so let's do this one real quickly. Gonna move fast today because I'm on a little bit of a deadline. I have my granddaughter staying with me, and today was the first day at school, and she's only there in the mornings for a few hours, and I have to go pick her up pretty soon. So we're gonna work quickly today. Okay, I'm sorry if it's difficult to see me paint these edges. Okay, come down here and get this bottom edge. This edge is a little rough. You can sand it, but it'll still be a little bit rough because it's against the grain. Okay, let's get this part in here. And our grooves on this side, and we'll be ready to go to paper as soon as this dries. Now, I think I mentioned it, but I'll mention it again. I did seal with a multi-surface sealer all of the edges and these inside grooves where I'm putting paint, because if I didn't, this would be soaking into the wood, it would be using too much paint, and it would be absorbing unevenly instead of resting on the surface. You must get that sealer on there. Okay, I think I've got everything. Okay, now let's set that to the side. And I'm going to go ahead and use my heat gun to dry my painted areas. Much dry, but I wanted to make sure because we don't want any smudges when we start to go gluing. Okay, so I'm going to set my palette out of the way with the wet paint on it. And I'm going to put a little cover over that puddle of paint because I can save that in a little bit, but I'm not going to take the time to do it now. So okay, let's start. Let's find our pieces. Here we go. Decide what sides you want showing. And that's pretty much the same on both sides, although I think this one's a little more interesting. So, okay, so now I'm going to use glue and seal. You can use matte medium. You can use any wet glue that you want to, but I'm using glue and seal with a foam applicator. And I'm just going to spread that right there. And attach my piece of paper. Okay. Now, this is the inside, so I'm not really too worried about distressing this paper that's on the inside. Okay. Make sure that you get enough glue, because we didn't seal this part of the wood, so you do want to make sure that you get enough glue on there, because some of it is going to soak in. Let's do it this way. No, I like this better. Okay, set that down. Press. Okay, now we do have a little bit of an overhang. It's a little bit of an overhang. So I might have picked up the wrong piece, that maybe one of them that I didn't cut. But anyway, that's not a problem, because we can always go and distress that when it's dry. In fact, I can do it now. And we'll have a nice edge on that. Okay. Let's go ahead and get this edge. Okay, now I'm going to come around to this side. And let's find our piece again. Here we go. Let's do it this way. Got a little bit of a piece of the next square on there, and I think it looked better in the center than on the top. Make sure you get it on there straight. Okay, and then this one, let's see, yeah, like that, like that. Okay. Make sure you get enough glue all the way down. It's okay if this glue oozes out a little bit, because it dries clear. Whoop. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside and let that dry, and let's continue. These, can be pretty, it can be a nice sit on the shelf kind of thing, but they also are very functional. Oop, that's the wrong side. That one goes on the outside. Okay, get that on. Flip it over. I gotta pull it up just a fraction of an inch here. Okay. And our last piece. That's just a little too long on this last piece, so I'm going to have to do some trimming. Not sure how I managed that, but I did. So I'm just going to come right here and trim that right off. That might be the piece that I didn't cut, or it could be that I have the right piece sitting over here, which there it is.